California's plan to ban the sale of new gas-powered cars in 2035, getting the green light from the outgoing Biden administration. But this agreement is all but assuring the state's special waiver is likely to be heading straight to the courts. If it is allowed to stand, this ban on gas-powered cars would take effect in California in about 10 years.
But whether that actually happens is to be seen as President Donald Trump soon takes office and looks to maybe reverse today's decision. KCRA 3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala explains how state leaders are responding.
Yeah, even though the Biden administration gave this the federal stamp of approval today, experts note it's likely going to be short-lived, with incoming President Donald Trump soon taking office. Some even noting this could set up California's first lawsuit against the Trump administration.
For now, California can move forward with its push to prohibit the sale of new gas-powered cars, a rule set to start within the next decade. In a statement, Governor Gavin Newsom said, in part, "Clean cars are here to stay." The Biden-Harris administration reaffirmed what we've known for decades. California can rise to the challenge of protecting our people by cleaning our air and cutting pollution. Naysayers like President-elect Trump would prefer to side with the oil industry over consumers and American automakers, but California will continue fostering new innovations in the market. Wednesday's action comes 4 years after Governor Gavin Newsom put the future gas-powered car ban in place in an executive order in 2020. Republican Assembly Minority Leader James Gallagher says the public and state lawmakers were mostly left out of the process.
They've gone down this path with very little public input. And I don't think that there's really the kind of mandate from the people. In fact, like they're tired of paying too much at the pump. They're tired of paying too much for everything in California.
Incoming President Donald Trump has said he would revoke California's environmental waivers as he aims to ramp up the production of fossil fuels, which California has been trying to move away from. Experts like McGeorge School of Law professor Chris McCaley say this could be the making of the first lawsuit between California and the new Trump administration.
The state is going to argue we've received these waivers for decades and that California has its reasons for pursuing more stringent emission controls. And remember, we've also got an entire industry, both auto manufacturers of passenger vehicles as well as heavy trucks, that are going down this pathway.
Gavin could decide to sue over that, but I think it'd be a waste of money because at the end of the day, they do have the ability to say no, to these waivers. And they're doing so on behalf of the hardworking Californians who have paid enough already.
California lawmakers returned to Sacramento in January to consider setting aside even more funds so that California can continue fighting the Trump administration once Donald Trump takes office. Reporting at the state capitol, Ashley Zavala, KCRA 3 News.
In the first Trump administration, California sued more than 120 times. Most of those lawsuits were environmental related.